Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Communication 24/7 podcast, where we communicate about how we communicate. I am your host, Jennifer Furlong. Today, I am really stoked about the guest that I have on the podcast because she is involved in so many different projects and every single one of them are super cool. And there's so many things that I'm going to be able to learn from her. We're all going to be able to learn from her. So I'm very appreciative that Amy Scruggs is here in the studio with me, and she is going to allow me to pick her brain for a little while so that we can learn about this whole media space thing and talk to her about her background and all of these cool things. Before we get started, though, let me read the bio so we can get everybody caught up on where we are. And then we're just going to let Amy take it away. And I have so many questions that we're going to get into, but first things first. All right. So Amy, she uses her 20 years as a media executive, TV host, recording artist, public speaker, corporate spokesperson, and business professional to help others present and communicate. That's why we're here. Communicate a concise and professional message, whether you're on camera with network TV, interviewed by a major news or entertainment outlet, filming a corporate video, Zoom calls. Hello, this is the world we live in now. Podcasting, social media marketing, or in-person public speaking appearances. And so you can already see why I wanted to have Amy on the show, because she is pretty much in the realm that it fits perfectly. One more thing that I do want to mention, that she has 20 years in sales. And received a bestseller with her book, Lights, Camera, Action, in the fall of 2021. Past 5 years, she has enjoyed her position as the host for the show The American Dream on CNBC, as well as being the former producer and host of Veterans One and The Retiring Right television shows. And including all of that, in addition to all of that, she's known in the country music industry for more than 15 years. She has opened for many artists, including Clint Black, Trace Adkins, Charlie Daniels, Phil Vassar, Little Texas, and many more. And her newly recorded EP, Love Another Day, is now on the charts on radio worldwide. Wow. Amy, you are officially the coolest woman I know.
I'm so not.
You are.
Jennifer, thank you. That is so thoughtful of you. I think it just shows that I haven't slept in 20 years. That's all that means.
That you have accomplished so much. I mean, obviously, you are talented, but talent only gets you so far. I mean, you are a go-getter. You are really
I'm a hustler.
Doing it. Yeah.
That was a very thoughtful introduction. I have to say, I was really excited about being on your show because just the collaboration, the camaraderie, and we speak this same language. So for all viewers and listeners, we invited you, but really this was just for us.
You're right.
We're going to have a great time here today.
This is a completely selfish thing right here. Just having some girl talk. That's all it is. No, but seriously, you are, I think when anyone reads your bio or listens to your bio, or, no matter how they become introduced to you, whether through the music industry or through the television shows, your media coach, you are an inspiration to so many women, like myself, because I'm trying to get into this space, starting a podcast, starting my own company, all of these things, being a media analyst, and to see someone who is able to, at least it appears as if you're doing it so easily. I know it's not easy though.
You can't see what's behind this background screen.
Right.
That's the secret.
And so that's what I want to tap into is, there really isn't a secret to anything. I think it's just, you really have a vision and you understand that vision and where you want to go, what your goals are. And then you kind of set an action plan in place and then you go for it. And that's the kind of conversation I think a lot of the listeners will be able to get a lot of value from, is when you have these goals and these desires, the vision, how does one go about doing that? Especially nowadays in this digital world, there's this huge digital space that everybody kind of wants to have a piece of that pie. So we're
Right.
going to have a great conversation today. Yeah,
A lot
yeah.
of latecomers to the table on that are now going, "Oh, who thought we were crazy 5, 10 years ago," that are now saying, "Uh-oh, I think I need to learn this now." And
Yeah.
it is a lot. There's definitely a lot to
Mhm.
my career, and what's funny about it is first of all, I guess I'm scrappy. I mean, there was just a constant shift and evolution that went, "Ooh, this can fit in here, this can fit in here." It's a daily pursuit of my passion and potential. So it goes back
Mm.
to that root. When I was 3, if you asked me what I was gonna be when I grew up, I would say Barbara Mandrell. I was a performer. I was practicing the national anthem on the fireplace. I was singing in choirs by the time I was 5. I learned the piano by ear at 3 and went into lessons at 5. So that artistic and performing nature was in there from the get-go without explanation because no one else in my family had that.
Mm.
So it was just a strange thing. But then you go through life and needing to find ways to provide and resources, and starting in my career in sales was where I was able to take that comfort in front of people and presenting myself and being in boardrooms and selling the product and realizing that effective communication was what was able to set me apart and
Mhm.
succeed in sales. So there were still these two things going side by side, and over the years as I combined them and put them together. And in 2008 or in 7 and 8, when the entire mortgage and real estate industry crashed, my job was in wholesale mortgage sales. So I was all over
Mm.
Southern California selling mortgage for the banks to the brokers, and that disappeared.
Mhm.
Gone. I had mouths to feed. I had kids. I had to survive. Well, I already had my passion and performing, and I was still singing all the time and cover bands around Southern California. And I had gone back and forth to record a few times in Nashville and had some great experiences. But now you take away what was my anchor point and what fed the kids and say, okay, I've got to shift. I've got to make some serious decisions.
Mhm.
And they call it music business for a reason. So I took the business skills that I had in wholesale mortgage, the business skills in sales and effective communication, and I went and out and asked for the business as a touring artist. So it's a
Mm.
daily business plan, even in the passions, and say, how do I effectively implement this into what needs to happen? And some of it's the starvation. You go, I
Mm.
have to do this. Here's my options. I can do A, B, or C. I can bury my head in the sand. That's not a choice. I can
Mhm.
make some serious changes real quick. I can take tools that I already have. It's a daily look in that tool belt. And so it was an evolution that we can dive into. But here I sit today
Mhm.
with all of these pieces and these tools coming together to say, how can I keep leveling up? How can I
Yeah.
still create opportunities and still have the passion and those fun things? A song out on radio, sure, why not?
Yeah.
Why not record a new project? Why
Yeah.
not write a book? Why
I
not
love that.
helping
Yeah.
professionals? Why not still work in these passions while I run a business? And that's
Yeah.
what you're seeing with all of this.
Yes. That's such an important question. Why not?
Why
Why
not?
not? And I think that's something, okay, I'm gonna get on my high horse here. Women, why
Yes.
not?
Why
You
not?
have this passion, this vision that you wanna pursue. Why not go for that?
Why
We think of
not?
so many excuses, reasons that, that, "Oh, I can't do that because of A, B, and C."
Oh, heard that
And
my whole life. Oh, you can't do
yeah.
that. Why are you doing that? Well, what about this? And what about that? I'm not afraid of failure. I'm afraid of regret. So with that
Mm.
mindset, I'm always like, if it fails, great. Then I know not to do that again. Then I'll go find door number 2 and door number 3.
Right.
So I'm always in that pursuit of trying something new, learning something new, because I love the amount of failures that piled up, because I also have these wonderful takeaways and new successes that are also there. You have to have that counterbalance. And why not?
Yeah.
Why not try? There's no downside.
Yeah. We've almost gotten to this point. I don't understand it. So many people are afraid of that failure aspect of it. It's, I don't even want to try because if I fail, everybody's going to see that I'm failing, especially in the media space,
Right.
right?
Oh,
If
of
I try
course.
this and it blows up in my face or it just fails miserably, nobody watches my podcast, nobody listens to it, it's not growing. But if you are trying it and it does fail, okay, sometimes you got to get through all of that to get to what's good on the other
Yes.
side. It's
What did I
nothing
learn from that?
new.
What tools did I gain from that? Maybe I'm that
Yeah.
one person that is going to have an impact and help me with the next thing that I'm doing then. There's
Mhm.
always a takeaway. There's always a lesson to be learned. There's always
Mhm.
something that's going to move us forward. The last thing I
Yeah.
want to do is stay stuck. Stuck
Right.
isn't a choice.
Yeah.
Failure's
Yeah.
fine. Moving forward is always has to be the option.
Yeah. Sometimes you gotta turn it into a game as well. How many no's can I get through before I get to the yes?
Yeah,
Just keep
I
track.
love that. There's a theory on that. Let's say that we're 25 no's away from getting our yes. How excited am I when I get to the 20th no? Oh my God, there's only 5 left. Like, you can have that mindset that
Right.
every no is leading us to the yes. And it is that game. It is that wonderful. It gets more exciting as it gets closer.
Yeah. So with all of this amazing experience that you've had, over the years and before we started the interview, you had talked about, how you've gotten to this point just organically with all the experiences, becoming a media coach. Um, Take me through that. What has led you to this point? Why are you so motivated at this point to help others achieve whatever it is that they're trying to achieve, whatever their goals are, in the media space? What's driving you to do that?
Anytime that we put the word coach on something we do, I know there's a lot of probably the eye rolls. Oh, here's another coach.
Right.
So you have to be very
Yeah.
careful with that. And what I
Yes.
see it as is that I paid the dummy tax. I'm a coach
Mm.
because I paid the dummy tax. I learned the hard way in some bad interviews in my first part of my career and when I was first touring
Mhm.
and TV and radio that I was doing when I was touring out there on the road. I learned the hard way some of the do's and not to do's. Then
Mm.
fast forward and I go into the driver's seat in 2017 as a TV host. There was a lot of learning curve there. This was in a
Mhm.
studio. This was cameras on. This is back-to-back interviews. This is Skype at the time. It was Skype interviews.
Mhm.
And this
Yeah.
was also a lot of in-person interviews. I cut my
Mhm.
teeth on that of learning. I had some really great solid interviews and I had some that I'm like, oh, I could have done better. So here's this experience also to take a look at the other side of the seat as I was sitting in front of great professionals of all industries. And I mean entrepreneurs, small business owners, CEOs of corporations, community leaders, nonprofit leaders, everything. It was a really beautiful, eclectic mix of different professionals that would sit in front of me for an interview. And there was a common thread there. Regardless
Mhm.
of their profession, regardless of their success, there was that common, oh, do I look okay? What am I going to say? Is this all right? And they
Mhm.
would get nervous before the camera came on. And I was like, ah. And I
Mhm.
remember in the chair right there, I had, 2 minutes to get them comfortable to say, don't worry, I've got you. Follow my lead.
Yeah.
We're going to do
Yeah.
this together.
Yeah.
I'll lead you through these questions. Let's promote your great business. Let's promote your great outreach, whatever that is. You came here
Mhm.
to do that. I'm going to help you do that. And I would tell them, listen, I had my years on the big stages. I've had
Mhm.
my years where it's been my moment. This is your moment, and it's my job to
Mhm.
help you with it. And that's where I realized that there was something special about that, to help someone
Mm.
else have their moment to share their story, help someone else achieve getting their message out in a more concise manner. And
Yeah.
and I started helping them right there in the seat. Then I was getting some calls after the studio. Hey, can you work with me? Can you answer some questions? Next thing, my phone is ringing, and I'm like, I think there's a need here. Different than
Yeah.
just following some book or some technique, or this is how you do it in this speaking school. This was me in real life situations, learning the
Mhm.
human behavior and saying, I've
Yeah.
got some tips and some tricks that can help you get over that quicker. Let's just bring
Mm.
some common sense into this. Let's evolve through these insecurities and things that are normal. And that's the first thing I say to everyone. What you're feeling is normal. And then we work through that. And that's where it really evolved in that time. And then the shift happened again. We've got 2020
Yep.
happened to
Yep.
all of us. I couldn't go to the studio. Everything went to a complete halt, but I watched the entire world go on Zoom. And I went,
Right.
oh, well, here's some opportunity. Now we're seeing people's
Yep.
cameras looking up their nostrils up to the ceiling. We're seeing people get up and
Right.
turn around in front of the camera. Nobody knew what to do, deer in the headlights. So it wasn't now just for individuals trying to be on TV. It was every individual trying to survive and stay connected in their jobs, in their lives, and everything else. And there was a real platform there that revealed itself to me in that time. And it was opportunity. And again, the tools and the organic part of it saying, here's a beautiful opportunity for me to help more people.
Yeah, there are a couple of things that I'd like to tap into
Mm.
with what you just said. Number one, the diving into it and just getting into the nitty gritty of things. And that's how we learn, right? That's the best way to learn. Earlier, we talked about not being afraid of failure, but the experiences that you had going into that studio and it's like, oh crap. I mean, it's here, it's now.
Yes.
And that feeling, that feeling of nervousness, it is perfectly normal. Congratulations, you're human. And I tell my
Exactly.
students all the time, if you're nervous at getting up in front of just a class of 20 students, I mean, it's not a huge class by any stretch of the imagination. That's still normal for you to get nervous at that. It is okay. So don't let that be the one thing that's going to cause you to stay silent and to sit there. We learn to tap into that voice. So that jumping into things and letting that be the way that you kind of navigate and learning, how to do this thing. When my first experience in journalism, I was 18 years old. I joined the Marine Corps. I went into public affairs and they were like, okay, broadcast journalism, print journalism, that's what you're going to do. You're going to be a combat correspondent. I never saw any combat.
Great is that?
But when I was at Quantico, we had the tailhook espionage trials. That was like the first Marine to ever, be charged with espionage. We had the tailhook trials with the sexual harassment. The Lone Tree trial was the Marine who was the first Marine to ever be accused of espionage. So we had tailhook and Lone Tree. We were integrating women, into training in the officer corps. There were just so many things happening, and we didn't really have time to sit back and, okay, let's open up the book again, the textbook, and figure out, what they said. It was like, okay, you did it. You screwed that one up. Be a quick learner, and let's not do that again. So I really appreciate that you have that kind of go-getter attitude, jump in, let's learn what we can, then we're going to apply those lessons to what we're doing in the future. It's going to get better and better.
And I have real life experience that I can bring into helping others. My largest audiences have been like 30,000. So I understand those pre-nerves, and that can be no different than somebody else standing up in front of 10 people. So I identify with that. I can empathize with that. I can have a shared experience point there and say, I understand. And here's how we overcome that. Here's what I do when I'm in those situations, because I sing the national anthem in stadiums. There's some pressure there for sure.
Yeah. Just a little bit. Just a little bit. Do not screw up the national anthem.
Right. And then you put the cameras, I know it's live on television, and they put that point and you're on and it's a cappella. So I've got the trifecta going on there. So I can relate to somebody having a moment of, what do I say? How do I get my message across? I can't screw this up. So we're going to walk that backwards, and we're going to take you through those steps to help you get comfortable with it.
Yeah, that is amazing. And I love the fact that you have done these huge things like singing the national anthem in front of a crowd of thousands, live, a cappella. You're not coming at this from the perspective, well, I've done that, and what you're doing now is nothing compared to that. So just get over yourself.
Because it's their experience
is.
It's the same nerves. It's the same human response. And it doesn't matter. I'm trained for that. So for me, it's 30,000 because I've trained for that. Well, if you're going to be in front of, just 10 people or 20 people, or you're just nervous about being on a podcast like you have, it's the same experience and it's the same emotion. So we can go eye to eye with that.
Yeah. So take me through your process when you are contacted by someone who is in the media space, or they're going to be new to the media space, and they want to feel more comfortable. They want to feel more confident in their presentation. What are some of the first things that you talk about? What do you look for in order to start that journey with them?
The intake and the first consultations is actually the lengthiest process, I think, because this is such personal training. This isn't, I'm teaching you math or we're going to write an essay and everybody's on the same page. It is extremely personal. So taking a look at someone and saying, okay, what are your goals? Are you just wanting to do some small amount of media appearances? Are you just trying to come up with a social media plan and take some cell phone videos and just increase your visibility to your database? Or are you looking to be on CNBC? So there's a whole variable level there, depending on what the professional is wanting, what the individual is needing. And there's all different levels with that. So first, taking that intake and saying, what is it you're wanting to do? And a lot of times they don't even know. So I can present, well, taking a look at what your profession is, here's some great ideas, here's some visibility opportunities you might be missing. Maybe if we can get you there, we need to increase your visibility and start thinking about getting you on some local news segments and things like that, because you really are an expert in your field and you're missing some great opportunities. So taking a look at it and seeing what is the best fit for them, where do I think I could stretch them and take them? Where is this process going to be? And then diving into that personal look. Okay, we're going to start with your self-awareness. We're going to break down how you even articulate and what your message looks like in its delivery. And then there's the whole part two of the message itself. So really evaluating all of that. And then it's a lot of work. Well, I'm going to break it all the way down and we're going to build you back up. But these tools are not going to just impact your business, they're going to impact your life, because you're now going to be a better communicator, even in your home, with your family, with your private circles, that you're going to realize that it's not a message unless it's heard. And how do we make sure that that message is heard? What are our nonverbals? What is it we're articulating? Is it coming across? If you can master that in the media, imagine how great you're going to be in your home life.
Yeah. So you had mentioned, within your business, what are some of the different types of businesses, the owners? I mean, COVID kind of was just the pivotal moment for a lot of people where they decided, I'm out of here. I'm going to do my own thing. So many new businesses have been created in the day and age of COVID.
Yes.
What does that look like? From your perspective, what are the different businesses that you've been able to help get out there and help them develop that vision and how they're going to, tackle that in the media space?
You know what's so fun now? And you're right. I would have had a different answer prior to 2020. I would have said it's more of this, and this. 2020 changed everything. And now I'm finding there isn't a category that isn't impacted by this. Because even if you're just a support system, let's say that you are in a support team, that you're helping the CEO or you're helping the head of that nonprofit, or you're just working with a team, you still want to make sure that there is a cohesive message coming out for your team. Right. You still might be a spokesperson for the group at some point. You might be in group virtual meetings that you don't want to be the one that looks off or odd or isn't really coming to life in that meeting. You might miss opportunities. So it's everyone now. But to give an example, I'm working with an incredible wealth advisor that happens to be there in Georgia as well. That now, I mean, he's so polished, but now we're doing some more strategic, really high level work together as his media appearances are getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. And I help co-produce and write his scripts, and so that he's just ready to show up, plug and play, and deliver his best, which is fantastic. I've worked with a sign company, a lot of real estate agents. They want to show those properties. They want to turn on the cameras. They want that visibility in their area. They're trying to increase that visibility. And a lot of them are great at selling homes. I have one client, I'm so proud of her. I started working with her 4 years ago, before COVID. And she's like, I sell houses. What do I know about being on TV? What do I know about doing this? I don't know. I just sell houses. And worked with her. I actually went with her to an event one time, flew to New York to be with her because she had to get on a speaking stage. And I'm like, nope, do it again. Nope, do it again. And we were in her room literally just over and over again, getting her delivery down. And I literally have a tear in my eye. I have to tell you, last week she was on a stage sharing with Tony Robbins at a huge conference.
Wow.
And she called and said, Amy, thank you. You taught me how to do this. So it's everyone. You don't know what opportunities are up ahead. I'm working with a wonderful small boutique record label right now, so that I'm helping that CEO to help his artists. There's other musicians that want to get themselves on TV and radio and promote their music. There isn't an industry. And I speak to Rotarians across the country, Rotary clubs that are out there doing nothing but community outreach, that need to level up their visibility in front of the media. And that's reaching all genres and all walks of life. So it's really interesting to see how this space has changed, and effective communication is absolutely the core before everything.
Yeah. It's interesting, this space, and like we've been talking about with COVID, creating such a pivotal experience for so many people. And I'm curious, someone who is a new business owner or someone who is a new podcaster, someone who has just written a book. There's so many different areas that
Yes.
media is going to be an important aspect of them getting their message out.
Mhm.
When you reach out to different people who are experts in this space, you can get confusing feedback. Some will tell you, choose one or two social media platforms and focus all your energy on that social media platform. Others will say, no, you want to branch out as wide of a net as possible. And you want to get on all the podcasts you can get on. You want to get on all the television shows. What is your advice for someone who is new into the space, new business, new book, new podcast, whatever it is, and they don't have the staff
Right?
to spend all that time on all of those
Sure.
things? What do they do?
You have to start with knowing what your message is. It
Mm,
has to start at the core, because even if you come up with a great business plan, all right, I'm going to do
mhm,
X amount of posts on Facebook this day, and we're going to have here's my social media calendar, and I hear this a
mm,
lot, and it's great. Yes, having a social media calendar can be wonderful, but if your content isn't there and your delivery
mm,
isn't there, if your
mhm,
messages aren't engaging, it doesn't
mhm,
matter how many posts I have up if everybody's swiping through them. If somebody
mm,
turns on that camera or starts a podcast and starts with, yeah, so what we're here to talk about today is, guess what? I don't care what social media platform you're on. You've
right.
got to know your talking points inside and out,
Yes.
how you
Yeah.
deliver them. Because I can know my
Mm,
talking points and I can say, I'm just going to do Facebook this month. And I might do
yeah.
10 posts or 2 posts. It doesn't matter, because
Mhm,
if my content is relevant, if it's engaging, if I can put a
mhm,
good call to action on that, or if it's just something that's
mhm,
inspiring, I don't need to reach everyone. That's the thing. I only want to
mhm.
reach the handful of people that want to work with me. And if I'm trying
Right.
to just, put it out there and, spray and pray on everything, that's not a game
Right.
plan. What I
Yeah.
wanna do is say, if I just keep doing the same thing every day, honing in my
Mhm,
craft, delivering my message, putting out the same content over and over again. If you see my social media page, you're gonna kinda see some of the same things, that I'm delivering the same message. You're gonna
mhm.
see my personality, you're gonna see,
Yeah.
some pics and things going on in my behind the scenes and with my kids, and you're gonna see the music, but the message is the same, so that
Yeah.
you're gonna hear that on any platform.
Yeah. Yeah.
And if
So
I
they really need to identify their target audience. Like, who is it that you're talking
Yes,
to? Yeah,
yes,
and it's quality,
it
not
has to
quantity.
be quality. And
Mhm,
then go for it.
mhm,
Hit all the different do a test run. Oh, this isn't converting. I do that. I'll say, this isn't quite converting on here, and maybe I'll put it over here. Well, let me try this. Maybe it's the time of day. I don't spend so much time on it. I'm active, definitely active on my social media. I check the algorithms.
mhm.
I set it. I go in the morning. I check everything. It's part of my routine with my cup of coffee. Or I check
Yeah,
my ads, see how this is going. Do I need to cut this one? Okay, this one isn't giving me a good cost conversion. Or maybe it's a
mhm,
day just to put out something funny and silly, and just
yeah,
engage, and taking that time also for engagement. We have to go in and engage on others' platforms.
yes.
You can't put it out there and expect people to engage with you if you're not willing. You have to turn it into more of a personal thing. And by
Mm,
doing that, you're going to start to see it grow. But you have
mhm,
to know your talking points. You have to know yourself. That has to
yeah,
be there so that you know what it is you're promoting and why. Why am I promoting this?
yeah. So do you recommend that people purchase ad space, or do you recommend that they focus first on just the engagement and making sure that they are organically growing their audience and doing
Mhm.
it that way? Do you think
I
there's
would
a one
definitely
way is
start
better than the
organic.
other?
Because the ad
Mm,
space, it's tricky, and,
mhm,
and it's changing constantly. Definitely start with that organic. Start engaging with your organic audience. And then
mhm,
if you're comfortable, or maybe get some advisors, take some classes in this. There's lots of great
mm,
online tools out there to help you learn how to do
right.
simple ads and things like that. Put one foot in front of the other, and
Mm,
it will
mhm,
keep evolving. If you daily run your business with the
mhm.
with the intent and pursuit for achieving and growing it, that will happen, and it starts one engagement at a time, one thing at a time.
Yeah.
and not being so caught up in I have to be as large as everybody else on social media. I don't.
Yeah.
I am proud of the day that I put in my best every day for what my
Right.
short-term and long-term goals are. Am I
Mhm.
accessible to those that I'm already working with so that I'm
Yeah.
not frantic or hurried or letting things fall between the cracks? I take on only what I can take on so that there's room for growth, and then it continue
Mhm.
in a natural way.
Yeah. How have you managed to take on all of the different things that you're doing and manage to make each one of those continue to grow and be successful? Because it does take time and focus to be able to just have one thing, one project flourish. And how have you managed to do that over time? Is there a trick to your scheduling? What do you do with all
I,
of the projects that you have going on?
I'm definitely a student of my calendar. And I run
Mhm.
this business every day as a business. So there's time dedicated to each thing. This time is dedicated to the music and the music promotion and making sure that everything
Mhm.
and systems are in place for what I need for that. This is the time that I'm
Mhm.
in live interviews like right now. This is fantastic. This
Right.
time was dedicated just to this wonderful show.
Okay.
I'm not doing
Yeah.
anything else at this moment. And
Yeah.
then in a couple hours, it'll be the next thing. But I know exactly what my day is going to look like and even where that white space is so that I can be accessible. So somebody's like, hey, do you have 10 minutes today? I have my hour scheduled in there for everybody's 10 minutes that they need from me. And
Right.
continually looking at my day at how can I be the most effective? How can I not waste time? How can I also still take
Mhm.
that time for self-care because that's so important? I still have a
Right.
very big family. I have grown kids that
Yeah.
need me, that need things. I have a husband. So putting all that together in a day and not seeing it as all these different things, but as just one beautiful thing that's
Mhm.
continually growing and flourishing. Because if
Yeah.
I look at it like, "Oh my gosh, I have to do all this today," then tomorrow's gonna be pretty scary and pretty hectic. If I just go, "No, this is the flow.
Right.
This is just day." It's not,
Yeah.
"Oh my gosh, I have all this." It's just day because tomorrow I have day. And in that day is something for the music and something for the coaching and work I'm doing for my clients and things that the family needs. And it just weaves in. And then it's not overwhelming. I took the word overwhelm out of my vocabulary probably 10 years ago because I
Mm.
realized it wasn't serving me. The word overwhelm
Yeah.
isn't the case. That means I need to
Yeah.
reevaluate. That means I'm not sitting in this in the right groove, but I'm
Yeah.
productive. So I look at, well, I'm productive today.
Right. Yeah. So intentionality seems to be a
Yes.
very important thing here. I mean, you're being intentional with the message that you want to send out. You're being intentional with identifying the core audience or the target audience that you're
Mhm.
trying to reach out to. You're being intentional with all the different calls to action that you might want to ask of your audience, and you're intentional with your calendar. So you're
Yes.
looking at your calendar and you're really being the architect of your time. You're each
Yes.
day, this amount of time for this amount of time for that, and this amount of time for this. And that kind of helps you pivot when you need to pivot, shift when you need to shift.
Yes.
So that you feel like you're not necessarily multitasking. Like you said, right
Yeah,
here,
I'm
you're
just
focusing on your
tasking.
live interview. Yeah.
Yes. I'm just tasking. It's just a
Hmm.
part of what I'm so thankful to have built. And I start every day of just being so
Hmm.
grateful for all of these tools and all of these things that have come together. And the thing is if it
Hmm.
all disappeared tomorrow, I'm going to use the same tools to rebuild it and say, okay, how does it need to shift? What needs to be different?
Yeah.
That it's not
Yeah.
this thing that I have to be afraid or hold on to with these clamped hands, kind of
Mhm.
like parenting, right? If we
Right.
squeeze our kids like, no, no, no. But if we just open our hands and say, what a beautiful experience to watch this human evolve and
Mhm.
grow and shift and go into adulthood. It's the same thing
Yeah.
with my career. It's this living, breathing thing that is
Mhm.
so fun. And at the end of the day,
Yeah.
I sleep well. Was I accessible? Was I a blessing? That's the thing. Let me be a blessing today. If it's to one person or to 1,000 people or whatever that is, that whatever I'm doing is a blessing, then
Mm.
I am so
Mhm.
thankful at the end of the day. Did I accomplish
Yeah.
that? Then the rest will keep continuing to grow.
Yeah. So it sounds like, anybody who's listening, it's not, you're not chasing the dollar, you're not chasing the money. It's not about that. It truly is about following what is your passion and how do you what kind of plan can you put in place in order
Yes.
for that passion to be something that you can pursue on a daily basis? And then everything else, it seems like it'll just kind of come into place.
And
And
it's funny for me to reflect on, like, even when you read my bio, I'm like, ooh, that's a lot of Amy. Ooh, okay. But then when you put it all, I hate when it has to go all together in a couple sentences or a paragraph. I'm like,
yeah,
oh,
yeah.
like, can we break this down? It's a lot, but it just shows a continual pursuit of my passions, a continual
Right. Yeah.
pursuit to say, how am I going to be able to shift and adapt? And especially in today's world. And I'm doing
Hmm.
this with my adult children. Like, you don't know what life's going to throw at you. I mean, when COVID hit, my three
Hmm.
sons all lost their jobs within a day apart. Life happened.
Mm,
I went, this
hmm.
is not our first rodeo. We're going to shift and adapt. We're going to
Right.
come up, we're going to triage. We're going to come up with a plan. We have to
Yeah.
be ready to adapt because nothing stays the same. So even in working
Right.
on our business and even in this media space, that's constantly shifting and adapting. Every time I think I've got the
Mhm.
algorithms down, with social media, they change it again. Every time I
Right.
think I've got all the tools and I know how to use StreamYard perfectly and I've got Facebook, dialed in and I've got Zoom dialed in, they change it, constantly adapting. So we have to
Yeah.
retool. We're retooling
Mm.
every day with what we're doing, even in this media space, completely.
Yeah. So be a student of the media space. You really do have to go in there and study it and familiarize yourself with it, so
Yes.
that you can better understand it. What are some of the things that you would recommend a business owner, like I said earlier, author, anybody who's getting into the podcast space? What are some of the things that you're like, absolutely not, under no circumstances, ever do this again? Do you have like your list of please just don't do that?
I do. There's several of them. There's several of them. First of all, know your filler words. Again, don't
Mm,
start with don't go into any kind of an interview of any kind, even if it's a job interview. Know your talking points. Be
mm,
prepared and ready. Take a deep breath. Learn what it is that you want to say. Teach yourself.
mhm,
Go back and forth.
mhm.
Record yourself. Play it back. See what you think. Would you listen to you? Would you take you seriously
Yes.
if you were listening? So start doing that self evaluation. And another big thing at the self awareness is understanding what you're presenting in your face. I
Mm,
talk about the resting face a lot, and it's funny. And we talk
yeah.
about the resting, not so
Oh,
happy face,
yeah.
right?
No, I've got really bad RBF. I will openly admit that. I'm constantly having to. I've had students tell me, like straight up in the classroom, they would start laughing if one student says something or asks a question, and they're like, "Professor Furlong, we could see the whole thing on your face. You thought that was stupid." Like,
We got to get our faces
no,
in check.
you could tell that.
Getting that self-awareness of what am I presenting? What
Yeah,
is my face saying? Because I might have a great message, but if I'm scowling as I'm telling you, then it's
yeah,
not going to resonate. It's not going to come across. And so
right.
getting that cohesiveness with what our face and our body are doing versus what our message is doing. And, the simple things are clean the lens, frame yourself,
Mm,
look into the
mm,
camera, make that eye contact with the camera, let people know you
yeah,
are here with them. We are in a virtual world. Our in-person meetings are less and less and less and less. I have met
yes.
the most amazing people around the world these last couple years. I am thankful for COVID. I mean, there were a lot of things that was difficult for all of us. I get that. But from a
Mm,
professional standpoint and from a relational standpoint, the networking, the opportunities, and
mm.
the incredible professionals that I've been able to be introduced to and now have a ongoing, professional networking relationship with is hands down the most incredible thing that's come out of these last 2 years.
Yes,
It
I
it
agree with that
opened our
1,000%.
opportunities. And so you
Oh,
take
yeah.
that and you realize if I'm not presenting myself well, or if I'm slouching and I'm scowling and I'm not looking at the camera and I'm sloppy, how many opportunities would I have missed?
Mm, mm, mhm.
Don't miss the opportunities because you're not presenting yourself.
Yeah, yeah. You said something that's very important, and I think I want to tap into that just for a moment for anybody who's listening. I belong to a couple of podcasting groups, and we just get together, small group, to lift each other up, to talk about ideas, to give each other feedback, and touching on the networking piece and how
Mhm.
COVID really has opened up an entirely new space for us to be able to meet people and get to know them. Don't be afraid to go online, look for groups.
Yes.
I mean, there are groups everywhere. And what I have learned with my groups is it is a place where we can feel safe to
Yes.
fail in front of each other. So
Completely.
if that's one of the things, yeah, that's holding you back, that you're afraid of, finding a group to be able to do that with has been, for me, such an incredible experience. And I am
Mhm.
so thankful. Like you said, I'm thankful for these experiences, because I don't think that I would have been able to get the level of confidence that I needed to be able to push the record button that very first time
Right.
without having those others in my head, in my ear, just going, "Ah, just damn it, Jen, just do it. Do it."
And look at the rewards that you've received for that. I
Yeah,
mean, think
yeah.
about the relationships, the people you've met, the interviews you've done, the lessons you've
Mhm.
learned, what you've learned about yourself, what you've learned about others, human behavior, the media
Yeah,
space in general, how much that has leveled you up because you had the courage to immerse yourself and put yourself out there.
yeah. And it's such a wonderful experience to be able to have these conversations one on one, on the podcast, but then also within the different groups. What
Mhm.
I do with going into different organizations and working with their workforce, or helping my students learn how to be more confident in their public speaking skills. All of those things are coming together with really what I've realized my core passion is just making those connections and helping others feel more confident in who they are as communicators.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah. It's amazing. So I can understand why you are pursuing this passion of yours now, reaching out to others to help them become more competent and confident in this space as well. I think it's absolutely wonderful what you're doing, because I mean, this is life now, right? This is it.
This
The
is our life
the
now.
digital world is here.
This is our life now. My shoes put themselves on furlough 2 years ago. Like I just I'm like I walk in the closet, go, I know girls, I promise I'll wear one of you next week. I promise.
Yeah.
But
Um,
it's amazing though.
mhm.
It's absolutely amazing what we're able to do with the spaces that we have now. I can't even imagine when I was touring back in 2000, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, these
Mhm.
tools did not exist. I was
Mm,
going
mhm.
town to town to town, radio station to radio station to shows, showing up. I mean, I was still on a flip phone, I think. Seriously, I could not have just gone on and done a live stream behind stage before I was going on with some of these major artists. I have no record of any of this except from some still pictures that I was able to print out of that flip phone. I can't imagine what I could have done then with the tools
Mm,
that I have today. And so the last thing I
mhm.
was going to do was waste these opportunities that now are in front of me. I can't go backwards
Mm,
and change that time. I can't ask for technology that didn't exist then. But I created
mm,
incredible experience and I did learn. It was pounding the pavement. It was a daily
mm,
grind. It was a lot of miles.
mhm.
250,000 miles on one vehicle. And
Right.
now I
Yeah.
can sit here and reach the world with the click of a button. And that's
Mhm.
fantastic. My music can reach the world with a click of a button. And it's a
Yeah.
blessing.
Yeah. It really is. The experience of being able to look back and see how all of this has changed over time, it's absolutely incredible. What do you see is next for you? Whether it's, do you have any new projects coming up, or do you see anything new within the media space itself that you're thinking you'd like to tap into? What's going on?
Well, if you're asking the kid that still has those little this someday I'm going to still do this.
Yeah.
So the Amy the kid is going to answer that question first. absolutely someday want to be an animated character. So anybody listening, if you've got opportunity, I want to be an animated character and do a voiceover because that would just be the most fun, incredible experience. Second, I would love to host a game show. So if anybody needs a sub on any of these fun game shows, I am in. So there's the answer of the kid that still has those big bucket list things that are left.
Yes, I love it.
That, I'm like, my family is like, oh, Mom, I'm going to host a game show someday. That's going to happen.
Yeah.
But other than that, I think what I'm not doing is putting limits on anything. I don't know what phone call I may get tomorrow for an incredible opportunity that I'm going to say yes to. But also there's opportunities that I say no to because opportunities are an opportunity for discernment. So what I'm going to do is continually keep pursuing and being open to receivership and opening to say, all right, how can I continue to be a blessing? Because that's where I want to sit. I'm done with the grind, the worry, the stress, and the hustle. What I'm enjoying is being in the passion and watching and seeing how it grows. I'm going to release new music off of this EP. I'm thrilled. Everybody keeps asking me, when's the next song coming out? Well, the first one's still doing great. There's no need. I want to continue with What If It All Goes Right. It's an amazing song. It's powerful. And it's supposed to just sit out there and marinate right now. The next song, I'll release it when it's time. The whole EP is there on streaming, so anybody can have it. But I don't have that game plan because it's really fun to watch it evolving. So I definitely have like kind of a controlled chaos where I have my daily grind, my daily activities, just day. As I said before, I work in the business and leaving that open space for what might be incoming that I don't even know is coming. And that happens constantly. I got a phone call last week for an incredible public speaking booking in a place that I didn't see coming, in an area I didn't see coming. And now it's going to open up a whole new world of opportunity that might put me on stages in that space that I didn't even know about a week ago. So leaving that open to say what's ahead. And then, of course, the game show and the animated character, because we don't want to forget that.
Yeah. Well, I do know someone who is creating a new children's television show. It's a stop animation children's television show. So
I'm in, hands down.
Yes. So I'm already making the connections. It's already happening. All right. That's going to be
just
awesome.
show up. Just show up. You don't know what's ahead tomorrow. My life is a constant evolution of just show up and watch and see what might happen.
Yeah, that in itself is a valuable lesson. Just show up. There's something else you said too, though, that I picked up on that I want to highlight. We're going to start wrapping this up in a little bit. And there's so many things I have questions about, but we'll do this again another time. But one of the things that you just said that's very, very important is to sit back and enjoy what it is that, like the song that you just mentioned. It's out. It's doing well. Let me enjoy this. Let me take this in for a moment. And I think so many of us are so caught up in the hustle of just produce, and let's do this and let's try that and let's put this out there. Take a moment and just enjoy what it is that you have done right now. And
it's so true.
That is powerful. That's so powerful.
I can't tell you how many times during the week I'll be like, how cool was that? Even if it's just an incoming call or finding out the next radio station that picked up the song or something else happened, I go, well, how cool is that? All right, that's fun. And I stop for a moment and I allow it to sink in and I just say, thank you. That's it. Just thank you. That's pretty neat. And because I don't put expectations on things. I didn't release this music going, ooh, it better be a hit. I released the music going, I hope this song blesses one person. And for me, it was fulfilling of that childhood dream to record a project like that in Nashville, to go back to Nashville after 18 years in the middle of a pandemic and record a dream project. I was like, how cool is that? I don't care if nobody even hears this. I am so excited to check that box and say, I'm fulfilling a dream. And then I was really proud of the music and put it out there and go, okay, let's see what happens. And then every incoming thing is, wow, how cool is that? So I'm not looking at what it's not doing or what I wish it would do or how come it didn't go this far? How come it's not being heard here? All I look at is, wow, look at all the places that it reached. Look what it is doing. And then that appreciation for where it's at today just sets that intention.
Right. Wow. You know what? That right there is the final word. Just the gratitude, recognizing the blessings, and just and that in itself just kind of opens up even more that even more blessings. It's amazing. I have really enjoyed this conference. I feel so motivated and inspired right now. I'm like, yeah, we're going to go do it. You know,
and how amazing, because of today's media, that we could meet and do this today, that I have a new friend with you now, Jennifer. I'm going to call you outside of this broadcast and pick your brain on this. We are connected now, and we could have never been connected like this 10 years ago. Would have hoped maybe I came through when I was touring and maybe you met me. I mean, that's how it was happening. Look at the connection we were able to make today. And this was such a joy for me as well. You have set the incredible tone of my entire day now.
Oh, that's wonderful. Yes. Positivity. I love it. I love it, being surrounded with gratitude and positivity, and just go after it. Or as we say in the South, get after it. So
I love that.
Are there any words that you would like to say, or is there a question that I didn't get a chance to ask you? You know, just anything that you wanted to touch on that you didn't have an opportunity to touch on yet?
I just want to say thank you. Thank you for putting this platform together. Thank you for your bravery, your boldness. Thank you for your service, first and foremost. And thank you for now taking all of your experience in life and bringing it out there to impact and serve others. It's really, really powerful what you're doing. It's awesome. And if I can encourage all of our viewers and listeners, just stay in the daily pursuit of your passion and your potential, and watch and see what happens. Take the limits off. Don't say I have to be something by a certain age. Take that off of there, because I'm going to be 50 years old in the next couple of weeks. And look what I'm doing now. If I had told myself I had to do that by 35, I would have fired myself 15 years ago. Take the limits off, keep the pursuit, and go be a blessing to others, and watch and see what happens.
Oh, that's wonderful. I just had that conversation. My daughter is 24, and I told her, I'm going to be 50 in April. And I told her, I think 50s, that's going to be my decade. I think the 50s, this isn't it.
Finally old enough to be taken seriously, and young enough to still take action. It's go time.
Yeah, absolutely. Wonderful. So how do we get in touch with you? Give us your website, all that information,
just
so
Google
I can make sure
Amy
that
Scruggs. You cannot miss me. AmyScruggsMedia.com, AmyScruggsMusic.com, just AmyScruggs.com. It's going to take you to it anyways. If you put in Amy Scruggs, you cannot miss me. Thankfully, there's really not many out there with my name. So you will find me, reach out. I answer my messages. You can reach me directly through the website. Would love to hear from you. I do consultations for free. We do group workshops, team coaching, or please just go stream the song What If It All Goes Right on your favorite streaming platform.
Yes, absolutely. I will make sure that is in the show notes. Almost did a faux pas there. Make sure that's in the show notes so that anybody can easily click on that link and find the music and contact you and all of those wonderful things. Thanks again, Amy, so much for being a guest on the Communication 24/7 podcast. This is where we communicate about how we communicate. It has been inspirational. It's been motivating. I am just so thankful to be able to meet you and have this conversation. And I know this will not be the last conversation.
No, absolutely not. Pleasure to be with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah. All right, everyone. Have a great rest of your day, and we will see you again soon. Bye.